that's all art. We bring in what we have, and we take what we need. Sometimes we can take more than we think, and sometimes there's nothing there for us to take because of what we bring in. So that happens. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. I'm Mark. That is Ryan. Hey Ryan.
Hello.
So last night, which will be 2 nights ago by the time we can actually release this this discussion, we saw The End of Oak Street.
Yes.
Ewan McGregor, Anne Hathaway, dinosaurs. Written and directed by David Robert Mitchell, who one of your favorite movies.
Yeah, I do like it. I do like that movie.
Produced by J.J. Abrams. Let's not hold that against it right out of the gate, because J.J. doesn't know how to finish things. But he is just a producer, not a director. So there's that. Look, if you've seen a trailer, you kind of know what this is about. Quaint suburban neighborhood, displaced dinosaurs. Interestingly, it takes place in 1982. I don't know that there's a logical reason for that in this film, except to have kind of good music.
That's you could argue that, but sure. 82.
There's, so many good movies hadn't even come out in 82. We get 82. Look, okay, so our embargo is a day from right now.
Yeah.
Other people are already commenting online, so I'm sure not you, but the audience has seen a lot of the commentary. And the one thing that we did discuss, even though we try not to do that when we talk about films, is the word Spielberg.
Yeah.
The word Spielberg has been thrown around a lot when people are talking about this movie. We disagree on what that means.
Yes.
So Spielberg,
at least maybe a little, maybe not in front. Yeah.
So it kind of looks like an early Spielberg movie. It kind of is shot like a Spielberg early movie. It kind of feels like a Spielberg early movie. So the question is it, as I said at first blush, an homage to Spielberg? Or is it, as you said, satire of Spielberg? And whether or not, if it was satire, was it intentional?
Well, and let me be clear. Satire doesn't mean you don't necessarily like what you're making a comment on, or you're running commentary. And when I say satire, I don't mean like scary movie. Which is just, let's make fun of everything and kind of be mean-spirited about it.
Right.
When I say satire in this one, I think it's where you take a lot of the tropes that Spielberg uses and insert them in a way that you say, look, this is ridiculous. And it's this film should be viewed. And I'm not saying this is how they feel, but this is how it works for me. The film works if it's viewed as, look at this just comedic mayhem. And these are the things that, that we have put up with for years. And to be perfectly clear, I love Spielberg and I've grown up on Spielberg films, and, and a lot of, although, he does tend to make things a little happy at the end. Maybe happier than deserved. And this film, again, does that very much so in a way that I feel like is very comedic. So for me, until I decided to view it as a kind of a comedic exercise, the film really didn't work at all for me, to be honest with you. I thought it was just too outrageous. And so maybe I'm projecting on it what I felt like it needed to be for me to enjoy what I was watching.
Well, you know what? That's art. So that's all art. We bring in what we have, and we take what we need. Sometimes we can take more than we think, and sometimes there's nothing there for us.
Sure.
Because of what we bring in. So that happens.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of this was based on the characters. I do have and I guess I was told that this is that I didn't know what I was talking about necessarily, but I feel like as a kid, well, it's fine. As a kid growing up in the early '80s and mid '80s, I was presented with the idea that the world could end at any given moment, in the sense that it was the Cold War. And I will fully admit that I was watching news broadcasts as a kid because my mother was a single parent and had to get me up early, and it wasn't like today where you could pick what you watched. The only thing I could watch it early in the morning was the news.
Yep.
So from my point of view, I was very much prepared for the end of the world scenario. Like it wouldn't have come out of left field because a lot of the news that I was watching as a kid was very, we were Cold War. Reagan got in office, and it was very much a constant theme. And this film, the kids are absolutely not prepared whatsoever for any sort of challenge, which I found incredibly annoying. The kids to me, unless they're a parody, I don't know that I can stand them.
Well, all of the characters in this film are, I don't want to say they're parodies, but they are directly lifted from every Spielbergian influenced film of the
But I would say they're pushed to even further limits, though, because
they are, like the son and his bow and arrow and his four friends going down the alley and then peeking through the fence. It's like, I looked at that, I'm like, oh, that's pick a film.
Yeah, no, it's well, and to me, there's somewhat contradictory things in the characters, in that this kid with the bow and arrow is initially presented as kind of a tough guy, but that's quickly pulled back, and there's absolutely nothing tough about this kid.
No.
Like, if you were to imagine the most complaining, most wimpy, most, in many cases, clueless and stupid. There's a lot of things that these kids do. Well, not just the kids. A lot of characters in this film. It's kind of the horror thing where you do the stupidest thing in the situation that you could possibly do,
Mel,
and that's how the story moves along.
Like Mel, the neighbor.
Yes, well, Mel is particularly gifted at doing, like, what in the world are you doing, my man?
Yeah, but the roof thing was pretty dumb. I think he had a mental breakdown.
Well, I think, again, if you view it as comedic, darkly comedic, but comedic, it works. And that's literally, like I said, that is the only way I was able to get through this film without just going bonkers. It does get a little too sentimental at times to fully pull off the kind of bonkerness, the weirdness, the satire to a full effect.
Right.
But for me, that was the only way I could get through it, is if I said, okay, they're taking these, Spielberg ideas or 80s, ideas, and they're just pushing it to the absolute extreme. And that was that was the only way I could do it.
It's the only way you could do it.
That was it. There was a point where I was like, I just hate this movie. And then I said, how am I gonna, like, because it's one of those things where I genuinely like the director. I like the actors that I'm familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not hitting right. And so in my head, there's that thought of, there's talent here. I have to find the benefit, give it benefit of the doubt. What is it?
Well,
what is it that drew people to this?
A couple years back, we had two films that weren't this comedic type, because whether you think of this as an homage or a straight satire, it is very comedic.
Yeah.
But stacked films, Babylon and Amsterdam.
Okay.
So, sometimes a film can be more than the sum of its pieces. Sometimes it can be less than the sum
It's
of its
just, yeah,
pieces.
no, and that's, it can just be a misfire. It could
Yeah.
be, but there, I still, it's like I have to find what was appealing about this, because this wasn't a cheap movie. This wasn't, isn't some indie drama that's
No.
made for, not that those films were either, but this is not a cheap film. There was, a lot of money invested in it.
Yes, there was.
You know, what am I missing? I guess is, and this is, it's a sort of a time travel film, but that's not really important. Although it does, in the end, go more for the tropes of the time travel stuff.
Yeah. To get us to our happy ending.
To get us to the happy ending, but and it's strangely very predictable. It's, I don't know that it's telegraphed, but well, it sort of is. I think it is sort of telegraphed. I think there are scenes where you go, "Oh, I know how this is going to go. Oh, I know what's going to happen when he jumps." It's, we know what's going to happen there, or we know what's, there's a lot of things that you may not know 6 minutes in advance, but 3 minutes in advance, you know how the next 5 minutes are going to play.
Right.
Or what?
Do you know what's funny is that there's a part of this when we're talking about time travel where somebody figures out what the date is.
Yes.
And for the life of me, I don't know how that happened.
You would just have to know.
What,
I guess.
I like I said, because it's a mailbox.
Oh, that, yes.
So unless the only thing I can think of is if there's a newspaper in the mailbox, but it would have been yesterday's newspaper, which should have already been taken.
You probably,
because of the time of day.
Well, it was 11 or whatnot. I don't.
A little before, it was like 10:45 p.m.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So got to that part, and I was like, "How do you know?" That made no sense to me. So there are parts of this that I just didn't.
But I think, there's also that element of that where the time, if you actually like sat there and thought real time, that time that is so important is suddenly not very realistically accurate. Correct. Or whatnot.
Yes.
So, I mean, we're dealing with a lot of really loose logic. I mean, if that's the best word we can come up with here. It's
we always use the word logic because it's internal logic and whether it adheres.
Yeah, and I guess it does.
I guess to its internal
logic.
Yes. It's a logic.
No, not to it. This is not a film that probably should be scrutinized.
No, do not overthink it. Let's talk about that for a second. Real quick though, the audience for this is a PG-13 movie.
Yes. And there were kids in the audience that it was kind of like, I don't know that this.
There was really a field trip, it looked like.
Yeah, it did look like a field trip.
Which was amazing. Although, to be fair, I didn't find it any more violent than Jurassic Park, which was also PG-13.
No, but I don't know. I didn't freak out about it. I thought it was weird that there was all those. I mean,
right.
But you have to remember that I saw Blade Runner at daycare. So I mean, so I mean, there's a part of me
daycare ever.
Yeah, it was not too bad. It just took a few years for me to be able to go back and go and figure out stuff. Anyway, nothing like being haunted by a movie that you can't see.
Right.
That you see at the video store all the time, but you can't get. There's no way you're going to get to rent that thing. Anyway, obviously my youth was pure torment. Right. But anyway, I mean, I just I look at this film and I think it's going to have issues because it is going up still against Spider-Man.
Yep.
Which I don't think anyone expected to hold quite as well as it has, or to be quite the phenomenon that it is. But I think you always had to have a sense that, I guess they figured 3 weeks, Spider-Man on its third week would have lost enough momentum, and I guess time will tell on that. But I feel like this film was marketed completely wrong. I'd seen this trailer a number of times, and at no point did I think, oh, this is going to be goofy, or this is going to be silly. It presents itself as very, not necessarily completely serious, because there's some jokes in the trailer and whatnot.
Right.
But
I was gonna say you're not gonna say this is a serious movie from the trailer, because that's
no,
not true.
but
I think it underplayed the silliness.
yes, I don't think it was like, no, this is going to be ridiculous, rather than this is going to be realistic but funny. I don't know. And it's funny, going back to the aesthetic of 82. There are scenes where they're sitting around the table where I'm thinking of E.T. and
Well,
their house, and the aesthetic of their house, of sitting around the table. And I don't know why that scene catches me so much, but it did have me thinking E.T. a ton.
well, again, there's a lot of 6 degrees here.
Yeah.
In this one. That said, it's not a bad popcorn movie. Just don't overthink it, and go watch Obi-Wan Kenobi and Catwoman try to save their kids from dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. At some point, just if you sit back and look at it, the basic premise, it's pretty ridiculous. So but I think I don't know. I guess, everyone wants to take things so seriously lately. I just figured they would, but no, they do not.
And what year did Empire come out?
83 or 80. Empire was 80. Sorry, Return of the Jedi was 83.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
This is 1982.
Yeah.
Empire is out.
Sure. You mean there's absolutely no Star Wars in this?
No, but there is, in fact, Battlestar Galactica references.
Well, okay. Yeah. Which is
poster dog.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's a little odd. Not that I have anything against the original Battlestar Galactica.
But maybe their family, I don't know. I can't,
didn't like Star.
I don't know. There's the world never felt that real.
No.
It even, there was at no point where,
it was absolutely idyllic.
Yes.
Until the dysfunction starts.
Which, yeah, and then you go
mildly dysfunctional. It was pretty idyllic. I mean, it was Norman Rockwell-esque block parties.
Yeah,
then blurk dinosaurs. So it flipped the switch pretty quick.
And that was like the busiest block party I think I've ever seen.
Right?
For that kind of neighborhood.
Yeah.
It was like, where did you get all these people from?
I don't know.
Is there like 10 people per household? Anyway, what is this? Is this Provo? Come on.
Ooh, you did not just make an LDS joke.
All right. It might have been Orem. Orem was always
now you definitely made an LDS joke.
Yeah. Okay.
People are going to do what they want with this, but you're right. It is the budget on this is, I looked it up real quick. They're saying between 80 and 85. Gonna struggle.
Yeah, at least
this week. At least this week. Unless people want to take kids that like dinosaurs who have already seen Spider-Man twice. I would think this will be lucky to finish third because the Odyssey is still in theaters and it's still pulling decent money. So
and Spider-Man on Odyssey, they've become entangled in the same way that Barbie and Oppenheimer did.
Yeah.
And so it's almost, if you've seen one, you have to see the other, because that's just the way it is. That's how popular culture works when it gets to a certain level. So, and I don't know, has everyone seen the Odyssey? I'm not sure. Has everyone seen
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man? It feels like it, but who knows?
Right.
I don't like the prospects for this film.
No, I definitely not in week one. It's going to have to get some really good word of mouth and hold on to low box office, but just not drop off and then ride it out.
And I just don't know that this is a word of mouth film.
I don't know that it is either. Again, it's just sad. If this releases a month from now, it does okay.
It might do better.
Releasing a month from now.
Yeah.
But I think a month from now, it does fine. Doesn't do great. Doesn't do gangbusters. But, I mean, it's 80, 85 million. You got to make that up. So,
yeah. So we're looking 180 to 200 million worldwide to break even.
Yeah. Give or take. So let's call it an even 2. And you know, if you get to 2, you can say, well, at least it didn't tank. Yeah. People will still call it a bomb, but you know, at least it didn't tank. So we'll have to see. But it's going to have a hell of a hold and a good solid long run. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Know. I mean, this honestly feels like the sort of film that ends up on streaming and everyone watches it and go, "Oh my God, why didn't they leave this in theaters longer?" Yeah, well, or
like
you know,
movie.
Yeah, and or it becomes something like if you embrace the silliness and the just goofiness of it, you know, I could see it becoming something that you can laugh about to get, you know, with people. But yeah, I don't know. I think the trailer doesn't tell you what the film is, and I think a lot of people, myself included, sometimes when you go in expecting one thing and get something that's not exactly that or radically not that,
right,
it can be a problem.
Yep.
Which is why I don't typically watch trailers, because I don't want to have any perceived.
They have ruined more things for us than one would assume possible. So yeah. There you go. So that's the end of Oak Street. It is in theaters this week, up against Spider-Man week 3 and Odyssey week 5 or 6. Yes, if it finishes third, that's good. And if it finishes in double digits,
yeah, I was going to say the problem is third right now has been like 8 million.
Yeah. It's got to hit double digits if it's going to have any chance of A, word of mouth, and B, any kind of hold. But, you know, 10 is not great for what this movie needs to do.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's popcorn. You can go in, you can turn your brain off and watch it, but it not without its defects.
And I'm going to be honest, and I don't think I'm going to do this, but I think if I watched it a second time, I would have more fun with it.
Maybe because now you're past the
because now I know what it is that I'm walking into, and I know, you know, where it's going, and to a certain degree how it's getting there. But
yeah, that's true. Unfortunately, most moviegoers don't have the option or the luxury of seeing things twice.
No, and I just don't know if I have the energy. Anyway,
that is also true. So
maybe get out of the heat.
Yeah, so there you go. Spielberg-esque End of Oak Street in theaters this Friday. Writer-director David Robert Mitchell, Anne Hathaway, Ewan McGregor, and dinosaurs. And different-looking dinosaurs. Let's be clear. These are not your typical dinosaurs.
And they're not 1982 dinosaurs. So that was an interesting choice that they made in that regard.
Yep. So there you go. Like, the effects are actually good. Let's be clear. The effects are pretty good.
Well, there's one or two that you go.
Yeah, there's one or two, but there's always one or two.
Yeah.
You know, any CGI fight in the Marvel.
There's a major moment that I just went, I don't know how well that composite worked.
Yeah. So there you go. Check it out if you are interested. Don't forget to like us, follow us on social media. Go to the website, vsmoviepodcast.com, to get all of our written reviews. If you're watching this on YouTube, click subscribe. That would be lovely and help us out with the algorithm. Till we talk to you again, be good, stay safe, and go see a good movie in theaters. They are actually there. This one is, it's on the right side of good, but it's not great. So there you go. I'm Mark. That is Ryan. Bye, Ryan.
Yeah.
And we will talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.